Scoville. Hey, everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Do not adjust your computer screen. I am this handsome. All right. Have I got a story for you guys? Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. Carol. Thoughts and prayers going out for Carol's boy. Absolutely. All right. Before we get going, I'm going to tell you all the fun stuff that old crazy Alan Ballantyne and I did today. And I say that because when I tell you the story, you're going to go, whoa, this dude's crazy kind of thing. Because, damn. Anyway, but prior to getting rolling on that, I did a video. I guess it wasn't the last one, but it was the one before. And I tried to break down a little bit of what my plan is for the lifeboat and things going forward. And I talked about the GoFundMe stuff and just sort of handling some nuts and bolt business stuff that we occasionally have to talk about. I would like to apologize if I've left any comments that offended anybody in the last, say, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours. Allow me to apologize. I'm not. Here's what happens to me, people. We do what we can to make sure that this isn't a political channel. No one likes a political channel, but truth is they all like a political channel, as long as the political channel is their politics. But since I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea with what my views are, I try to really kind of keep the stuff to a minimum. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm telling you things like we have never had a looser border at the Mexican border. Right. And some comments were left from some people that said something along the lines of the sellout with China happened when Trump sold out 8 years ago. Don't start in the comment section with responding to this. I just want you to listen to me, because if we start doing that, my boy's going to go haywire and just start deleting stuff. It's not what we're trying to do here. But the point is this. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and you can vote for whoever you want and you can do whatever you want. The reason that we don't talk about politics here, because it would be really intelligent to. Make no mistake. Politics are a huge part of drugs right now in this world. It would be an awesome idea to discuss politics. Sadly, we cannot. Right? We can't. Because it's no longer politics, it's dogma. Right? People have gotten so over the top with their beliefs. So somebody put in the comment section that, we really got screwed when Trump sold China, America out to China 8 years ago. And then he proceeded she proceeded, I'm not sure, to make some other comments that, with all due respect to parties involved, you can have any opinion you want. You can. It's completely legit. I lose my mind because I don't care about politics. Whether you believe that or not, I don't care about politics. Right? I got like piss and vinegar over policy. Seriously, policy means something to me. But politics is when people start regurgitating back talking points. I've spent weeks deep diving anything that has anything to do with dope coming across our border and how wide the hell open it is during this administration. Now, I will tell you something, people. I have done a bit of smuggling in my life. So Jimmy Buffett song right there. Uh-huh. Done a little smuggling, run my share of grass. I made enough money to buy Miami, but I pissed it away so fast. Never meant to last. Pyro looks at 40, I believe. Any hoot. I've done a little of that in my life. I've gone into Mexico to buy drugs and come back out. I've done it. I don't want to admit how many times. All right. Bought a lot of dope in Mexico. And every kind of dope you could think of. I lived in Texas. I made runs to Nuevo Laredo, and I did it often. And I was telling my partner, Alan Ballantyne, who was in here from Australia. You guys saw Alan, the videos that we did for the Masterson trial. And he's been the absolute most boss co-pilot in history. He has no problem jumping into the pilot seat when I say, hey, let's go to LA. He was all over it, all the places we've gone. Well, today I said to him, after I went off on a couple of people about things that were said concerning the border and all of that, politics, not policy, not fact, politics. Right? Virtue signaling politics in many cases, right? When people want to talk about kids in cages, a little fact checking, right? Go back and do a little fact checking. Those kids are in cages. There are pictures of them. Those pictures were taken 4 years before the guy you hate took office. And you know what? I'll tell you right now, people, I'm not here to tell you the guy's a good dude. I don't care. How's that? I don't care about him. I don't care about this jackass that's in there now. I care about the border and how much dope is coming across it and the hypocrisy of people who say, we're going to vote for a border wall because we need it. It's the only way to protect our kids. Oh, wait, he wants it? No, none of us are voting. In fact, we're not even allowed to make a decision on our own. We're going to vote party line across the. So you're in a state that had, an average of 60 overdose deaths a day from fentanyl. But you toe the party line when the Dems say we're voting against this because Trump wants it. You come forward and you vote the party line. What you're saying is, I don't care if anybody else dies because I'm with those guys. The reason they liked it the first time is because they knew it saved lives. You guys can all spout off about how it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Funny, right? They got fences around the White House. Keep people out. No one's ever gotten in. Nancy Pelosi has a fence around her house, right? Joe Biden has a fence around his house. But we don't have a fence at our border, and it's an issue. So I said to Alan after I got a little bee in the bonnet, so to speak, I said, get in the car. We're going to make a drug run to Mexico, which is really what I said. And that's what we did. Did it a little different this time than I did it the last time, but I thought I would take a tourist from Australia into Mexico, and I would show them kind of how this works, because you hear the stories and you think to yourself, come on, Not only will they take 20 years to figure out what color to paint it, Jason, they will buy the paint from somebody who donated a whole lot of money to someone's campaign, and that paint will cost, $26,000 a gallon. Unfortunately, it will only take, 2 or 3 liquid tons. It's incredible, the grift. It's incredible, all of that. But I get in the car with Alan and we start smoking down toward the Nogales and Sonora border crossing. And as we, as we're heading down there, I'm telling him stories of places that I have gone. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Sorry, stock deal. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, so we get down there and we park. We're at the Sonora and Nogales crossing. We park on the American side of the border and we walk across the bridge. We get there, we hand them our passports. No, actually, on the way in, we handed them nothing. On the way in, we walked directly in. There was not even contact. There was a guy standing there. He said, "You got passports?" We took them out of our pockets, and that was it, right? We got the wave in. Walked directly in there with no contact at all. Then we started walking down the street, and I said to him, "Listen to the spiels of the people here." Now, that's nothing new, and it's always been that way, but within 40 seconds of being there, we had the, Doba, Coca, Chiba, pills. And obviously there's a million pharmacies, but I took him around on a bit of a tour and told him, some of the stupid things that I've done in my past. And every single place we went, somebody said, what can I get you guys? You want this? You want that? You want this? And of course we bought nothing except a couple of beverages because I needed to use a restroom and I needed to be a customer. So we bought a few beverages. And the nice thing about buying beverages in Mexico is they have sugar in them, right? No high fructose corn syrup, baby. This is sugar. And sugar makes a beverage taste completely different. I know sugar's not good for you, whatever. But let me give you an idea of just how much better it tastes. I had Fresca with sugar in it. If you live in the United States, you never got Fresca with sugar. Fresca was always a diet drink. It always had saccharin in it. But boy, oh boy, is it good with sugar. Anyway, so as we're walking back, I said to him, so if this was a normal trip, I would be carrying a bag about this big full of prescriptions, which you can legally declare. Oh, I shouldn't say that. You have always in the past been able to legally declare pills. So in the past, you would go through with boxes and as long as you had a prescription from the doctor, right? The doctor, of course, is the guy standing in high top tennis shoes on the side of the road. Doesn't look like a doctor, but he writes your prescription. And I'm telling him all this as I'm going across the border with him. And when we got to the coming back into the U.S. side, now all of a sudden, they want to see your passport. They're going to scan it. They're going to do all of these things that are very reminiscent of making sure that nobody gets into the country with dope, right? This is where the dogs are, all of that. The process of getting us through in the past, when I would go down and do this, that process would take 3 to 5 minutes, depending on whether or not they harassed you. They had a lot of questions. What were you doing while you were there? Did you buy anything? You know, all of those things. But it's not a super long process. However, today's version of it was nothing shy of bizarre. With Alan, whose passport is a little bit different than mine. They're both blue, but the Aussie passport is a little bit different. So with Alan, it took a long time. What did it take? 10 seconds? No. With me, it took a little less time, but smoked right through. Got in the car and left. And Alan said, it couldn't have been that easy. I could have been carrying a backpack full of anything. And I said, well, there's another place that you have to drive through, like a immigration checkpoint that you're going to get to at about somewhere usually between 15 and 30 miles out. You're going to come across another one. And there they will pull cars over, usually somewhat randomly, but I guess they know what they're looking for. But you're driving through in one lane at 20 miles an hour and you have to stop in front of them and they go, all right, you guys are cool, get going. And I explained to Alan, I said, you're going to see him point to about 6 or 7 cars and they're going to line up over there in that whole thing. And there was not one car at any of those places being searched. I've never in my life gone through any of those checkpoints when every one of those bays didn't have a car in it. Often they may leave one open permanently in case something comes through that is so huge and they don't want, they have to have one open. But there were a bunch of people sitting around doing absolutely nothing. And did you see one car? No. They didn't point to anybody. They didn't do anything. It was just all the way straight through. And I don't know, people. I mean, it was very unusual to watch. A couple of comments. Bruce Heath says, last time you used meth, are you asking me that question? The last time that I used meth that was like a crystallized version of the substance, the last time I used that was in 2015-ish. No, I take that back. I was using it in 2015, but I did it in prison when I was at Victorville, when the warden got cut. The alarm that went off was unlike any sound we had ever heard, and I was addicted to heroin. So I ran to a guy named Mochi's cell. He was a Paisa, a country guy that came in to our country as an illegal crossing, but he was part of the delivery system for dope. But all they got him for was reentry, coming back into the U.S. without going through the proper channels. And he got, I think, 5 years. But he was the guy selling all the dope. And I said to him, hey, man, we're about to get locked down. When we come off lockdown, I'll make arrangements to get you paid. But, I need as much as you got. I don't know how long we're going to be locked down. But that noise, I mean, it was really different. It sounded like an air raid kind of thing. So I chased him to his cell, and everyone else had the same idea. Like I was at the front of the line. But now all of the dope fiends in the unit are trying to get over to him. And he threw me a clavo of stuff wrapped up in a small piece of towel. And I ran back to the cell, and they locked us down. And we started to hear through the rumor mill exactly what had happened. And you don't bust your drugs out because the cops are going to walk around 3 or 4 times, and they're going to be counting to make sure everybody's in. And the guys who were down in the chow hall are going to be coming in a little bit later. And the guys that were working at CMS, because this is a yard recall and it's kind of disorganized. And they really need to do everything within their possible everything that they can do to make sure that everyone is counted properly. So as it finally gets to where they're done counting, I'm talking to the guy in the vent, and I said to him, boy, did you get stuff? And he said, man, I have a little, I don't have a lot. He said, but boy, am I going to be sick. I said, I got a ton. I hit Mochi said right before they locked us down. Well, what he gave me was speed. And this was heartbreaking because it's not my drug of choice and it wasn't going to get me well. And then right before the lockdown, I had bought paint because this was a new cell to me. And I was going to get rid of all of the marks on the walls that were done in where people scuff it with anything. It just gets a black mark on a white wall. And this is where you're stuck living. So I purchased some paint, and the guy brought me a paintbrush that was this wide, right? It looked like a toothbrush. And I said to the dude, man, I'm trying to paint a cell. You know what I mean? Get me a paintbrush I can paint a damn cell with. Well, thinking he's funny, He came back from one of those things that you used to use in like elementary school when your paints would come in the little plastic thing with like 8 colors. And it looks like a pen you would do eyeliner with. And he had put it on the bed with a little piece of paper that said, "Is this better?" And of course, he probably had the real one in his cell and he was being funny, but we got locked down. And I proceeded to paint that damn cell. I'm not even kidding you, man. I had nothing but like 4 grams of speed and a lot of time to kill. I didn't have a cellmate, but it was funny because I was painting and I started out just doing the black marks, and then it would leave. So I started doing the whole thing, and I'm going nuts. And it was first thing in the morning. The sun was just coming up, and they were just coming around to unlock all of the doors, which they got to do by hand in the feds to let me out. And the cop that was working opened the door and goes, "Ooh, how much of that?" They call it shabibble. That's the nickname for that stuff in prison. But he goes, "Man, how much shabibble did you do last night?" And I went, I don't do that stuff, man. I'm like, I don't get down like that. He's like, "Man, you just painted your entire cell with a Q-tip." He's like, "I got a feeling that you were probably doing some shabib." But that was the last time that I did that. That would have been 2015, 2016, either 2015 or 2016. I don't remember the exact one. Right? It does beg the question. Somebody texted me and said, "It doesn't seem very bright that you would bring an Aussie from someone from another country with a different passport if you were making a drug run." Kind of the key to this was we didn't actually buy any drugs. But the idea was I wanted to go down and give people an opportunity for a witness, because I've been screaming about this forever, right? And since I'm close enough, we went down to the border. And I'm telling you, people, I did this a lot in my youth. I used to go across that border. It was Nuevo Laredo more often than not, and I did the Matamoros footbridge. But it was so different, people. It really was. It was so different. It was unabated. It was, you walk through. It was really, really bizarre, man. It really, really was bizarre. But what are you going to do? Now, I wanted to kind of finish up some thoughts from some things that I was talking about in the last couple of days. And one of the reasons this is important is because, number one, it's kind of like rote learning. You know what I'm saying? We used to train people on sales floors, right? When we were doing what they call hard telemarketing. And that's where you're taking 10 grand, right? Or 15 grand from somebody. And it's a 45-minute presentation. You're doing it on a telephone, and there's no contracts. There's no nothing. This is heavy, hard telemarketing. And it's not easy. But it pays really, really well. Well, my brother and I would train the new people that were coming in, and we would do trainings. It was 3 days a week. It was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We did trainings every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the entire time that we did this. And for me, that was not a long time. For Johnny, it was a really long time. But we never changed it in any way, shape, or form at all. Our training was identical every single time, and we did it 3 days a week. And I remember saying to my brother, who's way better at that than I am, the training and all of that stuff. He was way, way better. And I said to him, "What are we doing? You think anybody's listening to this thing after the third time you've done it? Hell, I'm tuning you out." You know what I mean? And I got a vested interest in this thing. It makes absolutely no sense. And he said to me, "Oh, it makes perfect sense. It's rote learning. You just beat it into people's heads, and you do it to the point where it becomes such second nature that it doesn't require thought. It doesn't require you spending a whole lot of time on it, right? That kind of rote learning." So there are certain things that we're going to talk about a lot on the boat, because I think it's really important that the basic tenets of this channel get beat into everybody's head, so that there's not a lot of questions concerning exactly how it is we do what we do, right? So since I did the video where I talked about the 5, right? And I talked about what it takes for someone to be a halfway decent 5. I got no less than 2 dozen emails from people who said to me, "I'm no drug counselor." I can't see me being able to help anybody in a 5. I am not a drug counselor. I don't have 15 years of sobriety. So I got to assume that the people sending these things didn't catch the last video. Now, when all of you show up and watch a video we get like 20,000 views, right? But on our meetings, by the time it peaks out at the end of the week, it's probably 1,000 to 1,200. Big difference, right? But some of those people stop in. They're not lifers. They're not crew, full-time crew, but they're people that stop in, right, all the time. And you try to catch them. It always astounds me when someone asks a question that is just where you're so beside yourself. I got a question from someone that in an email that said, have you ever been to prison? And I thought to myself, you have caught one show, right? Because it comes up virtually in every single show that I do that I've been to prison. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to be going over is going to be stuff that's rote learning. I'm going to be beating this stuff into people's heads, because if I don't, I'm going to spend half of my waking hours repeating this stuff. And we really want to get to anything that's cutting edge, anything that's new, anything that is a threat that you may not be aware of. For instance, right now, there is a drug in the United States that we're not getting a name on. No one, sorry, I'm winding a watch. No one yet has called the stuff trank or done anything else. We don't know exactly what the deal is. I thought they were nitazines. Further research, that's not panning out. So I don't know what it is, but it is. There have been two different samples of this taken in two different cities, both of which in Pennsylvania. But the strength of this stuff is so much stronger than both fentanyl and nitazines. These are the kind of things that are important to come and talk about, right? These are the kind of things that I think it is essential, to make that happen. Hold on one second. Thank you, Christy. Christy says, I didn't think I would be a good fit for 5, but I bring my own perspective, and the best thing you can do is be yourself. Yeah. And your job, right? When you're in somebody's 5, your job is to listen to them. We're not talking about, Tommy, I don't know what to say. Well, good, right? They're the one talking. Shut up and listen. That's what we do in the 5. Honest to God, if someone asks you to be in their 5 and you think to yourself, man, I can redo this guy's life, right? This dude listens to me. I'm going to get him to stop doing this, and run away. That is an unhealthy, really unhealthy thing for both parties. We're not trying to become somebody's sponsor or mentor. It's not what we're trying to do. We are there to listen to people who are having problems. When it's so bad that the bag of tricks doesn't work, going for a walk, exercising, right? Changing what's on the television, changing what's on the radio, trying to use music as a trigger to bring on a mood, right? Change your mood. I can put on Life's Been Good to Me So Far, right? By Joe Walsh, Mr. Joe Walsh, next president of the United States, Mr. Joe Walsh. And it will pull me out of whatever mood I'm in like that. That's a tool in the toolbox for me to stay sober with, right? Boom. That's what we're talking about. So I build all of these tools so that I am ready to take on anything that the world is going to throw at me. And when I find myself in a situation that I'm uncomfortable in, I know exactly what to do to get out of it for 2 reasons. Number 1, I got the tools. And number 2, I've never walked into a situation that I didn't have an exit strategy on. All of them. I meet somebody I've never met for the first time, and I promise you, before you go in, you have that conversation with the people you're with, right? Hey, we're going out tonight. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to get to meet all these cool people. Wow, that sounds awesome. Alan, if this thing sucks, we're out of here by 8. Right? If we get there and they're doing beer funnels and lines, maybe this isn't the spot for us. Or if it just doesn't seem like a lot of fun. But have an exit strategy. You're an addict. Don't get dropped off at a party. Duh. Right? Duh. There are things that we got to do to plan for our sobriety and our walk, right? The programming that we're going to do in order to stay sober. When that doesn't work, we start reaching out to the cats that are in our 5. And you know what? One might be enough for you. Maybe you just need that one that really understands you and that will be there for you, that will have your back at all times, that no matter what is going on in life, that one person understands you, and wants more than anything what's best for you, well, then maybe you don't need 5, right? I like 5. It's a really great number. It's round. You're going to get different perspectives. And the more you start to know these people, if I'm struggling in a certain way, there are things that I am going to, there are things out there that I'm going to probably take to my brother versus Alan. If it is very much centered on the fact that someone in my family, was supposed to keep a secret and didn't, I'm not going to bring Alan in. Now maybe I will. He's met my entire family, but prior to that, that was one of those things that, right, I'm going to use someone else on. But this 5 thing, man, stop sending me emails about how you're not going to be smart enough for this or not going to be good enough for this. Guilty as hell. Good to see you. Don't let him fool you, people. Looks like guilty as hell, but you start seeing the jokes, you'll know who it is. Right? Because that man tells a mean dad joke. And I do mean a mean dad joke. Okay. To recap, before we move on, I apologize to anybody I offended with anything I wrote in terms of comments. If you don't put comments in the comment section that have anything to do with politics, then there's a good chance the captain won't have a meltdown on you, right? And we have great mods. We really do. But it's great if the mods don't have to spend half of their day policing what people put in the comment section. So I'm not referring to the chat. I mean the comments after the video. So you know what? Try to look out for the boat. Seriously, try to look out for the people who are working with the wrenches, right? Absolutely, cemetery. Sadly, of course it would. Absolutely it would. Cemetery 76 says, I wonder if alcohol will make this heavy stress go away. Yeah. Alcohol is a uniquely qualified drug to remove stress. What happens is when you begin to drink, the first part of your brain that gets drugged, because alcohol is weird in that you go in levels depending on how much booze you put in and in how short a period of time. But one of the reasons that people drink, one of the reasons that this is a drug that so many people abuse is because it absolutely makes heavy stress go away. But we know what happens with any drug that makes anything go away, right? It doesn't disappear. It's not a magic trick, right? We can make it stop stinging for 8 hours or 6 hours or whatever, depending on how rowdy you get. But the underlying issues, and it's kind of a good illustration, right? Because the problem is never the problem is never that we want to get high. The problem, there's something else in our life that is the issue. And we talk all the time about addressing that issue and finding out what that issue is. I know that right now you're going through a tough time. I wanted to get wasted when my dad died. That was probably the time since me getting sober that more than anything else I wanted to. That was the day that I thought, if I could turn this off for 8 hours, if I could make the pain stop, if I could make the frustration, because the halfway house didn't want to let me go to my father's funeral, right where I was supposed to be doing the eulogy. There was so much frustration and there was so much, feeling of loss that it messed with me in a very, very large way. So I know it'll make it go away. The problem is it compounds and, it doesn't go away. It just steps into the back room for a while. My brother Johnny eats peppers. I'm not sure if you knew that. Eats really hot peppers. Got somewhat well known for it. But one of the things that he told me a long time ago that has stuck with me my entire life is that you're probably always better off to not run away from a fight. And the reason for that is because you're going to fight anyway, right? Guaranteed you're going to fight anyway. So you're either going to fight at full strength or you're going to have somebody chase you down and you're going to fight when you're not at full strength. You're probably better off fighting at full strength. Now, whether that's a fist fight or whether it's anything else in life that we would like to solve with booze or drugs or anything else, It's really all the same, right? It's all the same. Russ, thank you. Russ says, let's see here. Russ says, keep up the awesome work, brother. Thanks for being here for anyone who needs and wants the help. My respects to you and yours. Thank you, Russ. Russ, we're going to be announced on an earlier video today. And, this was something else we wanted to touch on. I did it in the earlier show. There are people on the boat that don't like the fact that I talk about Danny Masterson, and I understand that. I do, because it's not what we do, right? It's far afield from what the lifeboat is. However, building the lifeboat to a larger channel is what my job is, right? Because in doing so, we find more people who need help. In all honesty, kind of sucks, because you come to the lifeboat and you do have a job. Your job is to treat the people that come into the comment section with respect and decency, and to make sure that you guys should be virtually fighting to be the first person to welcome someone to the boat. The early crew, Charlie and V and Alan Ballantyne and all of the people, Cemetery, Leisure, the people that were here in the very beginning that really made that famous, right? Made that what it is. The first people that every time somebody stepped onto the boat, man, you weren't getting here without being welcomed, without people telling you that they're happy you're here, and all of the stuff that went along with that. It was huge. So I would love it if that continued, right? That would be huge. But in the meantime, I'm going to try to do shows with other people who have nothing to do with our subject matter, right? It's a beautiful thing, because unlike everybody else, we don't need that. We don't need that at all. It doesn't matter what I go on, and it doesn't matter what I talk about. You know why? Because everybody in this country falls into a group of people. So if I get 100,000 people in that group, about 2%, 2.5% are going to have a drug problem. And we got 135,000, 140,000 views over the course of about 5 days. And that translated to about 3,000 subscribers, which is spot on. It's exactly what it should have been, right? The vast majority are not going to hit subscribe. And thank God they don't. Because what we really would like is for people who have a vision and understand exactly what it is that we're trying to do. And I think we're getting there. I really do. Right? I think we're getting there. So I announced this morning that part of that is to cater to the new crew as much as you cater to the old crew, right? Balance out. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to turn into the Danny Masterson channel, because it does not make sense for what we do here. Does it? Now, that said, the church has offended me, has called up friends of mine, asking them where did they meet me in such and such a place? And they're doing creepy Scientology stuff that made them famous. And I guess they're hoping that, that I run away from this. They'd have been better off to leave me alone. I'm not a runaway kind of guy. So you know what? Yeah, I might fire at them any chance I get. It's not going to be a huge part of what we do here. Because the fives, going live on the fives to help people with drugs, that's what it is. However, if I decide to take other time during the day to fire at the Church of Scientology, if that's not your get down, don't watch. But it's building the boat. I'm meeting fantastic people, right? People that I'm in very short periods of time, I've built some pretty incredible relationships with. And we're going to keep doing it. It's not going to be a huge thing. However, the number of people that reach out to us, and this has been going on since the very first day of the lifeboat, it really has. People that reach out and say, we just want to hear more about prison, man. If you talk more about prison, I'll show up. Well, we'd like more people to show up, right? And then we got 3,000 people who came in, and the vast majority of them want to hear more about that. I know we're not a prison channel. And I'll tell you something, people, of all of the things that we could be talking about, it's certainly not one I want to glorify, and it's certainly not one I want to become a channel that talks about, right? However, if there's a couple of hundred people that write to me and say they want to hear something, I'm going to do it. That's not selling out. That's building a channel. Selling out is if I were to let the Betty Ford Center give us $150,000 and call the lifeboat the Betty Ford Lifeboat, right? That would be selling out. And Betty Ford, if you're listening, I'm ready to sell out whenever you want to stroke that check for $150,000. Yeah, because it will give me the opportunity, right, to make sure that anybody that needs help is never going to not get help because of cash. I'll sell out so quick for that, people. It's never been about me getting rich, right? I'm just going to take Alan's money. This has always been about helping as many people as we possibly could. That can't be 30 people, man. Right? It can't. It's got to get bigger, and it's got to get bigger. And you know what? We're never going to forget anybody on here, right? And that means the new people or the old people. So one day a week, I'm going to be doing a day that we talk about prison. It will not be during the 5s. So you guys are not, those that don't like it, don't trip, don't show up. You don't have to hear it. Those who do like it, and we get about 3,000 views, right? Instead of 1,000, that's huge. And it brings in more people that we can reach our message with. So Russ, I'm sure that we're going to be doing some stuff in the future together, my brother. A lot of people wrote to me and really loved the interview I did with you. So I assume that we'll be back, in the next week or two, so that we can do that again. And you'll be on your laptop, which will make it a little bit easier. And we'll have prepared more. I kind of threw him under the bus and did it really fast the last time, and for that I apologize. AKA Heather Joy says, please hit that like button. I saw a picture of Heather today, and she looks an awful lot better. She really does. And that's good because we miss her. We want to make sure that she's all right before she comes back here. Joyce Gray, I found you because of the Masterson and Aaron. Now I'm here for the help. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you for the super chat as well. But I'll tell you something, people. That's it right there, right? That's it right there. I found you because of Masterson and AA Ron, and now I'm here for help. Well, we are really glad that you're here. We really are. The business model works, people, and it's unique for the lifeboat not because we're smart or any of that stuff, but because drug addiction crosses every single aspect. Addiction in general. I shouldn't say drug addiction because we've got a ton of people on here who are addicted to things other than drugs. Addiction touches every life in this country. Right. So if we can get me on a channel to talk about prison, to talk about drugs, to talk about skiing, right? Any of that watches, anything that I happen to know a decent amount about, we're going to do that so that we can always say, but my real passion is trying to help people get sober. Here's what we do over on the channel. We call it Lifeboat, right? That's it. That's what we're trying to do, people. So I'm really hoping that makes sense to all parties involved. I'm not sure what day we're going to be doing the prison show. I was looking for alliteration, but there's just, we need a word a week that, a day of the week that starts with P. You know what I mean? Like if we had, say, Purs Day, I could do.
Punday.
What's that?
Punday.
Punday. Punday prison? I don't know. We're going to come up with it. The alliteration might not fly, but we're going to come up with something. Thank you again, Joyce Gray. Very, very glad that you found us. And your timing was so great on that. It's really, you managed to do in a sentence and a half what took me 15 minutes. But, brother, I've been down the drugs and how life's changed because I'm also a recovering addict, brother. I've been where you have and done the same. So there's so much more than Danny's patches. Yeah, right. No question. It was great though because it has allowed us. It has allowed the people on the boat to meet some individuals who are amazing. People from all over the world that were so interested in the Masterson trial that they got kind of caught up, and now here they are on the boat, and that's really been a beautiful thing. That's kind of the dream, and we were also really, really pleasantly surprised with Aaron and with all of the rest of the SPTV community. The girls were fantastic. They were a lot of fun. Yeah, the girls were lovely. They were a lot of fun to go out with and do bowling. And yeah, we had a really good time, every bit of it. It was a very, very good time. And there's a lot more coming, people. You got to realize that too, right? We have a mission here. And someday I want people to say to me, well, what are you going to do, once the drug war's over? There goes your channel. Celebrate, right? Not care. We'll start a channel that just comes together in high fives and talks about the fact that we did it, right? I don't know if that's particularly realistic, but I bring that up because the SPTV community would like to bring down Scientology. At least make sure that they can't hurt families anymore. And when I said to AA Ron, then what? What's next? He said, celebrating. If we take them down, well, if we can make a big enough dent in this drug war, people, then we will be doing celebrations, right? In a very, very big way. Felon Friday, bunting, clip clop. See that?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's and that is why he doesn't do 2 shows a day. Well done, bunting, clip clop. I like that right there, man. I don't care about Hollywood idiots. Can't say I blame you. I'll be really honest with you. My fascination with the, I don't have much of a care for Danny Masterson or the Hollywood aspect of this. I was very much interested in this because of the undue pressure that can be brought to bear by the Church of Scientologies. I think that's really where more people are interested. The Church of Scientology is what they've done. You really need an opportunity to sit down with like 3 or 4 ex-Scientologists who know each other and just sort of sit back and watch to get an idea of just how vicious this organization has been to so many families that have just been destroyed. I sat looking at Alan while his mouth was dropped open because it was just concepts that I don't think he could wrap his brain around. He would sit and say, the mother just kicked the child out, said, if you're not doing this, then you're gone. Or the mother said, I'm sending you off to this school and you're no longer going to be, with the family. The way that they literally just drive a spike between people and families. It's heart-wrenching. And I've said it many times. I think that there's synergy between what we do. I think Aaron has a mission. I think that we have a mission, right? And I think in many ways the missions are almost the same. But I promise you, we're not going to become the Danny Masterson show, and we're not going to become the Scientology show. But but you can't mess with me and not think I'm going to fire back, right? I mean, honestly, it's not like it's a troll. I don't fire back at trolls because I'm not going to help build their channel. I'm not going to give them the time of day and make them look legit because, hey, Tommy talked about him. I learned that lesson. He'd go over and find out that half of the views that guy gets is because I mention his name and the whole audience goes over to see who's talking trash about me. Saturday in the cells, not bad. But Saturday is Saturday night boat. I mean, we could do it earlier in the night. Saturday in the cells is not bad. Felony Friday is pretty tough though, man. Felonious Friday? Well, that's got legs. I think Felony Friday's got serious potential. Feel free to weigh in. Feel free to email. Do whatever you do. But I'm liking Felony Friday. Let the creative people here on the lifeboat, come up with something better. But the girls were fun. Were the girls not fun? Huh?
Yeah.
The girls were fun.
The girls were really fun.
The girls were really fun. And so was AA Run.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I know I pick on him about the eating thing. I'm doing it just to be funny. He really didn't eat like a Viking. He ate like 2 Vikings. I'm kidding. You know how you are when you're on a road trip, though, anyway, and you've been flying and you haven't gotten near food. I think it was one of those situations where all of a sudden, all that food was there and he was really, really hungry. So he hip checked 4 people to the floor, tackled somebody, and took down a couple of pounds of French fries. A couple of flying elbows, and then he ate 4 pounds of French fries in just a tick under a minute and 13 seconds. He didn't finish all of them. I'm just picking on the guy. Yeah, what he didn't finish, he put into the bag he had brought with him. Had a pillowcase that he had taken from the hotel. Just kind of filled that with the rest of the food. One of the trolls will be playing what I just said later, and they'll pawn that off like it's real. I'm just picking on Aaron. I can only say things. I cannot say, and I am pissed as hell. Is that a line from a movie? No, that's the other one. Well, I'm sorry if I'm restricting anything that you'd like to be saying. I really do apologize. It is we do what we can to try to keep everybody as comfortable as possible. I spend a decent amount of my time being pretty unhappy, and yeah, I mean, I do understand. I appreciate all of you who respectfully bite the inside of your lip on a regular basis. Oh, we've got a goodbye. Well, I'm sorry, my friend.
Lemmy.
It's oh, that's Lemmy.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, Lemmy. I didn't recognize you. Well, reach out to me, Lemmy. You got all of my contact information, right? I think I'm in that 5. Reach out to me. What does a lemon say when it answers the phone?
Yo.
Yellow?
Mm-hmm. I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, 7th.
Come on.
It's late in the show. I mean, maybe all your good stuff came out early, but that was that was pretty tough. I'm not going to lie to you. Lady Crispin. Good to see you, Lady Crispin. Do you know that somebody asked me if we were married today? They said, was that your wife you were complimenting earlier? I said, that woman lives on the other side of the planet, but has done an awful lot for the lifeboat, and we appreciate her. All right, Lemmy. Take it easy, brother. You know what, everybody? There's 10 minutes left in the lifeboat. But we're going to call this one a little early. Because I'm going to give him a call and make sure he's all right. That had a really bad sound. And I'm in his 5. So I don't do this. I do this as infrequently as possible, but you can't. I'm going to have to call this one short. I apologize. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you for the super chats and for assimilating and being a great part of this boat and reaching out and caring for so many people. You know, it is a beautiful thing. It really is. Felony Friday. Yeah, Felonious Friday. I really like that. I think that's got all kinds of potential. I love this boat. All right, everybody. We will see you at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. We'll try to, I promise. All right? Have a great night.